When's the last time your daughter came home happy, actually happy, freely happy after spending some time on social media? Not excited about a post that did well, but just happy. And compare that until how she feels after hanging out with her friends in person with people that she actually trusts. The reason I asked that question is today we're going to tackle on why the mental health crisis hit adolescent girls harder and what it means for us to come and support them. But if it's your first time here, welcome to Baffled. This is the podcast where we help you understand your misunderstood teen. My name is Jonathan, and I'm here with my co-host Jason, who is the director of More to Life, a youth development program out of Tampa Bay. And More to Life goes into schools with one message. We want to teach young people that their choices affect their future. Yep. So Jason, what's going on, man? How you been?
It's been a busy summer, but it is winding down, and now we're gearing up for the school year. So it's been exciting times for sure.
Yeah, man, it has been a busy summer. From what I hear, that you had 70 presentations alone in the month of July, just being around young people. Can you just speak into that?
Yeah, so we speak at summer camps during the summer, and this particular summer alone, I mean, we were high demand. And right now, unfortunately, More to Life's just me. We're looking at hiring somebody in the future. But so I had to carry the load. And so there'd be days I would have 3 camps, 4 camps. There's a day or two where I have 5 camps. So I'm just slingshotting from camp to camp and doing these presentations. And so when I looked at the grand total at the end of July, it was in the 70s. I'm like, whoa. I mean, I know it was a lot, but I didn't realize it was that much. So, but it was fun.
Yeah,
for sure.
And one of the presentations that More to Life offers is social media safety. And we also talk about bullying as well and how that also impacts with cyberbullying. Mm-hmm. And today we're just going to be talking about young girls and social media and why social media has not been good towards girls. It hasn't helped girls. It's actually harmed them. I'm a preacher, so I got to use the alliteration H&H, help or harm. And what we do know is that we now have data. We now have stats. We now have hard data on what Jonathan Haidt calls the 2012 mental health inflection point. And in the book, The Anxious Generation, Jonathan Haidt says that around 2012 is exactly when front-facing smartphones, front-facing camera smartphones, and unlimited mobile data plans became ubiquitous, meaning it became accessible to everyone. And this is around the same time where the iPhone 6 came out, their iPhone 5C, and they had a cheaper option. And many families, I was working at Verizon then, many families were coming in, getting Apple smartphones and Android smartphones. I remember the Samsung S9 for their kids. And what ended up happening is that there was a dramatic, unprecedented collapse in the psychological well-being of young people, such as that in Western nations, rates of depression, severe anxiety, self-harm, and hospital admissions for suicide attempts amongst teen girls rose from 50 to 150% within a few years. And the data is anecdotal. Sometimes we say that correlation is not causation, but in this case, it was like, man, the moment teens had smartphones, there was just like this tremendous spike, particularly around young girls. And because you're in the schools seeing this in real time for the past 15 something years, Jason, what have you seen?
Yeah, I believe, what you're saying is because girls are more social, I guess, or they're very relational. And so everything with that matters. Their friends, their popularity, their identity, all that matters. And so when it comes to social media, it's just taking things to the next level with their social life. So not only do they see their friends at school and deal with issues, whether it's conflict or drama, now it's 24/7 where they're dealing with it nonstop. And so one of the things we talked about with our bullying presentations is isolation. And so this is kind of a Mean Girl. You ever seen the movie Mean Girls? This is kind of like one of those things where exclusion is rampant with that, because they will kick somebody out of a friend group or a conversation or make plans in front of them. And the purpose is to leave that person out purposely so that they feel that sting of that isolation. And so, yes, and not all, but some girls can be cruel, and that's how they get back at each other, by excluding and isolating one another.
It's interesting that you say that. I remember in the last podcast episode, I took my son to go see Toy Story 5.
Yeah.
And have you watched it yet, Jason?
I haven't. No, I need to.
So
I will.
Spoiler alert.
If you
have not watched it, there's an instance in the movie, because it talks about the interest between play and the introduction of technology and tablets and whatnot. So we know that Bonnie gets a tablet. That's not a spoiler. That's in all the trailers, right? Mm-hmm. But there's an instance where Bonnie is she gets her tablet for the first time, and she signs in. And she signs into the games that all of her classmates are playing. And her classmates are saying, "Oh, Bonnie, you're finally here." Like, she's been missing out. And she was invited to a sleepover. And they brought her to a sleepover, and she brought her toys to the sleepover, but left the tablet in the car. Mm. And when she pulled up to the house, the little girls are playing on their tablets on the porch. Not interacting, but just playing. And she realizes, like, "Oh, let me go get my lily pad." So she went, grabbed her lily pad, and they start basically playing this. Rather than playing together, they're playing the game next to each other on their individual tablets. But then what ended up happening is that she comes home the next day super tired, sad, depressed. The toys come to life. So Lilypad talks about, like, because Bonnie did not have enough time to catch up on her interaction and play with these games, these girls played a sick joke on her. So they started playing hide and seek and basically left Bonnie hiding in the closet by herself for how long? And they basically froze her out, ignored her, and she was hurt by that. And it kind of speaks into this Mean Girls type thing, where if you're not part of the in crowd, it has like social ramifications. Mm-hmm. And this affects girls way more than it affects guys.
Yes.
And another thing that Jonathan Haidt uses in the book is that these students, these teens, are spending way more than 5 hours on their device. Mm-hmm. Like 5 hours has become ordinary common use, which it's even not common to hear that teenagers are on these platforms, whether it's TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, well, not Facebook, Instagram or YouTube, for 7 or more hours daily.
Yes. So,
yeah, it's just interesting. And you have a teenage daughter. Like, what are you also observing as just from a dad's perspective?
My daughter's she's 16, so she's very social on there, and that's her life, whether it's text messages, Snapchat. And so I haven't really witnessed anything where it's affecting her social life like that. I mean, she's got a pretty good friend group and stuff, but yeah, I think it is very easier to get sucked into drama. There's a lot of kind of dating stuff going on, so it's a lot of scuttlebutt with that. Talking about that type of stuff. So overall, we've been monitoring it and just making sure she doesn't get sucked in too deep where it is affecting her mental health. But it does have the potential for sure, because you surround yourself with people. There's going to be drama. There's going to be conflict. There's going to be all sorts of problems. And with young people, everyone's problems is your problems, especially within your friend group. And there's some dating stuff going on. So yeah, we definitely try to keep tabs on that so that she doesn't fall into that deep, deep hole of mental health issues, but it's still there. The potential's there for sure.
What's crazy is that the data shows that the less time we spend on social media and actually more time in the real world with people, that our mental health is better, that we're happier, that we're joyful, that we're more at peace. But on the flip side, because a lot of the relationships or what's happening has an adverse effect on teenage girls. So for example, you share the story of McKenna on the social media safety, how her parents observed when they took away her phone that she actually started to do better. Like her morale was better. But the moment like she signed back in and saw everything, like she just spiraled. Right. And it's like, this is not an isolated incident.
Yes.
So it's like in one aspect, it's like keep them far away from it. But then the reality is that they're also going to not be in the know at the same time. So what ends up happening is that it's hard for young girls to actually pull away and isolate, like, because their entire social circle is online. So like immediately individual teenagers, the moment they log off, there's an immediate social exclusion and isolation, and they're kind of trapped by this web of this network. Yeah. So what can you kind of speak into that? Like even from just sharing McKenna's story with the permission of her parents on this idea of just how like young girls are like uniquely affected. Like on one hand, she was better for not being on it, but then the moment she got back on, it was like not good.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, McKenna Brown was a sweet young girl, a teenager. She went to one of the schools in North County where we were in Pinellas County. So she sadly took her life 4 or 5 years ago now, based on some internet drama that she was involved with. And it was Mean Girls. It was that were pretty much involved with that. And according to the story, because her parents, we show the video that her parents, they came into our content room and shot. One of the things that were said was she did try to avoid it. She did put her phone away and tried not to let it bother her or what have you. But then she finally decided, let me just check in and see what's going on. Saw all the posts, all the texts. It was overwhelming. And sadly, McKenna, they found her in her room. She did take her life, and very traumatic for the family and her family. God bless her. They are in the fight to bring awareness to her story and what we can do to see change within our social media realm with the big tech companies and all that. So they're fighting the good fight. But yeah, obviously what you're trying to get at is when she did distance herself from it, she was okay. But the moment she gravitated back to it, it's like that Pandora box was open, and it was her downfall for sure. And sad ending to the story. But yeah, it's just very tragic.
So with that kind of said, like, how do we unpack, like, recognizing from a parent's perspective or youth worker's perspective when we see someone drowning versus like you can kind of see the effects, but then when you ask them directly, hey, how are you doing? How are things really going? And teenagers are inevitably going to hit you with the surface level. Everything's fine. Yeah. But you can kind of read in between the lines that things are not fine.
Right.
How can we address that? Like, because many teen girls can appear highly functional, academically successful, and socially popular, while their digital lives require them to maintain an intensely curated social brand.
Right.
Like, they're quietly drowning under the pressure of continuous self-preservation. Like, they're drowning under this pressure, but like they're externally performing well. Like, how can you like help them be honest and help them navigate that?
Right. And they may be doing well, like you said. They may be their academics, sports, whatever it is, just achievements. But unfortunately, it kind of masks what's going on the inside. And social media is just a hidden realm. It's a dark realm for them. And I think to answer to that question is you have to, as a parent, be involved in their lives. Constant date nights, father-daughter date nights, or even just family date nights where you go out and eat together, go to the movies or what have you. One of the things my wife and I have tried to do with our kids is have it a very open environment where they can come to us and they will they'll share what's going on in their lives. Not everything, but because they can come to us and not feel condemned or judged, they open up about some things that, I mean, obviously in the inside, you're just like, you just want to tear into them, but you gotta have a balance where you do correct, do discipline, but also have that line of communication where they can say, I can come to mom, I can come to dad, I can share this with them, and they're gonna help us navigate through what I'm going through. So yeah, once you have that line of communication open, you have that relationship, it makes it easy for them to come to you. But again, it has to be constant. And when you ask questions, don't just, how's your day? Good. That's not, you got to ask open-ended questions. So what did you do at school today? How is volleyball going? Those questions where it's more than a yes, no answer. It has to be open-ended. So avoid the open-ended and just be more, or I'm sorry, avoid the close-ended and have more open-ended responses in those conversations.
And that's a good rule of thumb to just have in general. I remember in high school, I worked at, or when I graduated high school, I worked at Foot Locker. And one of the things in my training, I remember still vividly is don't ask a yes or no question when you're going up on the sales floor. Rather, it's like, hey, can I help you? No.
Yeah. You find everything you're looking for?
No. So one of the things that I've learned is you just walk up, hey, what brought you in today? And even working as a pastor in a church, it's rather than one of the things I try to encourage our volunteers is when you see somebody for the first time is to not ask, hey, is it your first time here today? Because it may not be. Say, hey, I don't believe we've met. What's your name?
There you go.
So right away, it's like these conversation starters, and the goal is conversation.
Right.
The goal is to have an interaction and engagement. Another thing is when I went to the movies last week to see Spider-Man and the Odyssey, saw some trailers, and there's this interesting movie coming out, and it looks like it's a follow-up to The Social Dilemma, the Facebook movie, but this one's called The Social Reckoning, and it's about the whistleblowers who exposed Meta, that it socially engineering the platform for infinite scroll, like doom scrolling, or intentionally setting up the algorithm for outrage and division. And what ends up happening is there's this thing called the visual validation loop when it comes to social media, where for girls, they know that it's a female's phone. And when the algorithm for girls is different than the algorithm for boys. So for girls, their platform use centers heavily on image-based content. So there's a lot of push towards Snapchat, Instagram, and TikTok, where it's designed to elicit quantitative social media metrics like likes, comments, views, how long you're on the platform, which creates an extreme emotional dependency on constant external validation, which is just to hit a dopamine rush. Like they'll sit here and do a skit or a little dance and they'll post it, and they have to check their phone every 5 minutes to see if somebody liked it, to see if somebody commented, and it's not healthy. And then last week we talked about sleep deprivation. This also impacts girls a lot. And what ends up happening is that it lowers psychological resiliency, which leads to depression and anxiety. So, and then not only that, there was an old movie called Red from Pixar, which had to do with girls and the coming of age for girls. And with that comes it's a sensitive time. With their bodies are changing, hormones are changing, brain rewiring. And just imagine your body's going through all that changes, and you're also on social media. Now you're overly sensitive, overly dramatic. And I don't want to offend any of our female listeners, but just put yourself back to when you were 12, back to when you were 13, and all of the changes you were going through during that time. So we're gonna transition into what Jonathan Haidt calls about the 4 pillars of vulnerability that he highlights, that specifically for girls, where he talks about visual social comparison, relational aggression, emotional contagion, and sexual predation and harassment. This all happens within social media. So number one, just the visual comparison. You alluded to this because there's just this idea for I'm not going to post unflattering pictures of myself. I'm going to only present my best. Like, you have a teenage daughter, you're in the schools. What are you seeing when it comes to just like this idea of visual social comparison amongst teenage girls?
So one of the things we talk about with our social media talks is the comparison mindset. And basically what that is comparing yourself to others online, whether it's a picture, a video, or somebody's platform that has a lot more likes than you do, or a bigger platform, a blue verified check mark type person. So yeah, there's this constant, I need more followers and it really turns into followers instead of friends. So that's one thing. A lot of pictures are sadly edited and AI'd and you know, made it where now this person's perfect in every way. There's no blemishes. They now have muscular features like abs and stuff like that. So there's this constant, like, I need to look like this, be like this. And a lot of the pictures and videos they're watching are not even real. They're all doctored. They're all AI. And so there's this constant that I need to have this, I need to do this, I need to be this. And they're chasing something that's not even reality, based in reality. So that's what happens. I mean, I'm sure guys can fall victim to that, but it's mainly with the girls chasing that comparison of trying to measure up to someone. And so the only way to really counteract that is for that person to know that they are loved, they are made in the image of God, they have purpose, they should love themselves and like who they are, and be content with who they are. And what, you know, you may post something and you may get 1,000 likes, and you post something else and you get 2 likes, and that's okay. Everything you post is going to be different. So looking for that affirmation is constantly affecting them as well. So they have to just be themselves and just love themselves and just know they're special the way they are. So that's the way you counteract that.
Yeah, I'm reminded, and I think we talked about this a year and a half, like, I think back to Kylie Jenner and how she doctored herself to look a certain way, and how that influenced young girls, where they had like this challenge to pucker their lips, and how it was harming them, or how they would, if they had the money, they would doctor themselves to look a certain way, or if they didn't look a certain way, like there's this body shaming that happens amongst girls. And what that ends up leading is to like this relational aggression, which with young boys, it comes across more physical, but for females, it's heavily online, and it's social exclusion, rumors and gossip and slander, reputation attacks, and how social media kind of supercharges that. It's like throwing gasoline on that. And we kind of saw that with the passing of McKenna, like how like when Mean Girls came out, girls were already mean, and that was before the age of social media. Yeah. Now, like social media, like, man, I can't imagine what some of these teenagers are going through as a result of this. Like, the next thing is like the emotional contagion. Like, they're young girls naturally share emotions, struggles, personal vulnerabilities, and what can happen is that they will share their deepest, darkest secret or whatever, what they feel with someone they can trust, and then that girl turns around and backstabs them and spreads it out like wildfire. Now someone's reputation has been tarnished. Or something, what happens is that they'll just replay conversations in their mind, like, I should have said this. The last thing I want to talk about is like how social media also kind of encourages sexual predation and harassment. Like, what are you seeing with this in the schools?
There's a lot of that going on as well. Young ladies are trying to look for affirmation, and they will put themselves out there, dress a certain way, not being modest, and you're kind of setting yourself up. I mean, it's just comes with the territory. You may, there's a term called thirst trap. They're thirsty for compliments. They're thirsty for affirmation and acknowledgement. But unfortunately, that backfires, because then you get the creeps. You get, and it could be older creeps too, but you're going to get people either shaming you or talking inappropriate about your body, and so you're just putting yourself out there, and you're going to attract the wrong people. And so that's another thing we have to educate our young ladies on, that be modest. Don't put yourself out there to just get likes or noticed or what have you. You know, they have to be very careful and very cautious of that, because that's just it's a thirst trap, because you're trapping the wrong people into your life. So
I'm also reminded and I want you to read in between the lines, what is sad amongst young teenage girls is with the thirst trap, it's almost like the bad influences that they have from different OF models that they find. So it's even sad that you have girls who wait till they turn 18.
Yeah.
And because they've been getting all this attention on social media, they'll create an OF account at 18 years old and make $1 million within a week, because you got all these creeps online that are paying for this content. And it is just sad. Like, no father or mom wants to see that of their daughters. So,
no.
And not only that, you can put yourself, like we saw this with Roblox, there's actual predator. Not everybody online has your best interest at heart. Like, no one, like, some people are very, like, they'll see that that's what you're posting online, and they assume that's the type of energy you're looking for. And it's not always not always the case. So we talked a lot about the problem. Want to talk about solutions. Want to give tips and encouragement on what people can do. One of the things we said at the very beginning, you're the director of More to Life, and More to Life goes into schools. We go into rec centers, churches, wherever we're invited in, and we do presentations that deal with healthy relationships, bullying, sexual pressure, social media safety. And we want to just be a resource, and not only a resource, we want to encourage parents to read The Anxious Generation. As a resource to kind of help you parent your teenagers. We talk about bullying, and one of the things you mentioned in the bullying presentation is that in the past, bullying, your home was a house of refuge. Like, bullying was something that happened to you maybe on the playground, maybe at school, but then you could go home and you were safe. You could kind of turn your mind off.
Yes.
But now, because of social media, it follows you home.
Yes, it's a 24/7. There's another good book, since we're speaking about books. I have it on my shelf here. The Bullying Breakthrough by Jonathan McKee. And I think he's a youth pastor, a former youth pastor. That brings that point up about how bullying is now 24/7, because it wasn't when we were young. You get bullied at school or whatever, and then you escaped it at home. But now it's 24/7 because of social media.
Yeah.
So
one of the things that we can do as parents, youth workers, is we need to kind of shift our development, our language for youth development from the traditional cyber safety, which is good, like which burdens the victim with the sole responsibility to block, to report, to self-censor. So we need to have a broader framework where Jonathan Haidt talks about that there's the real world and the digital world, and we kind of need to operate within the digital world kind of with the same boundaries. Like, we need to understand rights, ethics, and citizenship, like understanding that we all share a responsibility to what we contribute. So, like, with boys in particular, we need to educate boys on digital consent and holding perpetrators accountable for trust violation. Like, hey, you crossed the line. Like, you should not have done that. Same thing to young girls. Like, we need to, one of the things as a pastor I try to encourage people is that James, the book of James, tells us that we need to be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. And many times we apply that only to our interpersonal relationships, but we should also apply that to our online discourse as well.
Absolutely.
The algorithm is designed for outrage. It is designed for division. Why? Because it profits off engagement. So I've learned personally that there are things that pop up on my feed that is designed to rage bait me. It is only there because it knows what I like and what I don't like. So I've mentioned this before, like the rage bait that I get a lot on social media has to do with sports. So it'll like say something to the effect like, this is why Michael Jordan played against plumbers. And I'm like, and it's like, I have to tell myself that I need to scroll past this because now I'm going to argue with a bunch of strangers I don't even know.
Get sucked right in.
You'll get sucked right in. These are just things I just wanted to share. It's good that you talked about like having like check-ins, relational check-ins. And like, mom, if you're listening, consider creating a safe space where you can have these reality check conversations with your daughter. Same thing with dads. Like, you matter too. Like, you can tell like, hey, affirm your daughter, affirm her beauty, affirm her dignity, but also remind her like, hey, I know boys because I was once a young boy. And learn to be honest. Like, even like recognize like, hey, I'm not perfect. Yeah. Like, I was a knucklehead. Yes. I made boneheaded decisions in the past. Yes. And I'm speaking to you from experience.
Yes. Very effective, by the way.
Yeah. Like, so, and then lastly, consider waiting. When I say waiting, consider waiting, giving your child a smartphone. Consider waiting till they're mature enough. Get them a dumb phone, a phone that they only need to text you and call you. They don't need access to social media. They don't need access to that stuff. Flip phone. Just prolong it as much as you can. One of the things I want to wrap up with this, our girls are not broken. They're not less than. They are made in the image of God. They are loved by God. And girls are not inherently fragile, but we also need to recognize that because as their minds and bodies are changing, the digital environment is kind of forcing them to navigate this danger by design. And they're swimming an uphill battle in a toxic stream. So like we need to recognize that it's both. Mm-hmm. Like, we want to nurture, we want to care, but we also want to recognize that social media like is not neutral. It's not neutral. Mm-hmm. So guys, this is Baffled. If you're listening to us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you're listening, make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow us. We're here for you. If you want to invite Jason to come speak at your school, his email and contact information is in the show notes or in the description. Yeah. We are here to walk with you. Or if you're maybe a youth worker and you work in the space, feel free to email us and say you want to come on the podcast. Let's chat about this together. Because at the end of the day, we want to bridge the gap between confusion and connection. We want to help you understand your
misunderstood teen.
That's right. So we'll see you next time on Baffled. God bless.
God bless.